जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे। हरे राम राम हरे हरे। जय राधा श्याम सुंदराधे। जय जगन्नाथ जय बलादेवा जय सुभद्रा। जय गौरनिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरानिता जय गौरनिता। जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद। तैगो प्रमाण दे हरि को। एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज काचर अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद श्री भक्ति वेदांत संस्कृतपाद की जय। एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राज काचर अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत ठाकुर गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव मंद की जय। नमाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगमय यमुनमय की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। नताय गो प्रमानंदी हरि हरि गो। Allora, assemble Hare Krishna, Allora, assemble Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, titled Knowledge of the Absolute. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudhirayat. Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Bhagavati uttama sloke bhakti bhavati Hari Om Tat Sat. Be reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, Knowledge of Absolute, verse number 1 to 3. We'll try to cover 3 verses. Verse number 1. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashraya Asamsayam Samagram Mam Yata Gnasya Tachruno. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashraya असंशयं समग्रं मां यथा घ्रास्यसि तच्छृणु. श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यासक्तमनः पार्थ योगं युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः असंशयं समग्रं मां यथा ज्ञास्यसि तच्छृणु. Word to word. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Lord said, Mahi, to me, Asakta Mana, mind attached, Partha, O Zanapruta, Yogam, self-realization, Yunjan, practicing, Mad Ashraya, in consciousness of me, Krishna consciousness, Asamsayam, without doubt, Samagram, completely, Mam, me, Yata, how, Gnasasi, he can know, Tat, that, Srunu, try to hear. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Now hear, O son of Pruta, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. We'll repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Now hear, O son of Pruta, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Verse number 2. ज्ञानं ते अहं स विज्ञानम् इदं वक्ष्यामि अशेषतः यद्ज्ञात्वा नेह भूयो अन्यात् ज्ञातव्यम् अवशिष्यते. ज्ञानं ते अहं स विज्ञानम् इदं वक्ष्यामि अशेषतः यद्ज्ञात्वा नेह भूयो अन्यात् ज्ञातव्यम् अवशिष्यते. ज्ञानं ते अहं स विज्ञानम् इदं वक्ष्यामि अशेषतः यद्ज्ञात्वा नेह भूयो अन्यात् ज्ञातव्यम् अवशिष्यते. Word to word. Gnanam, phenomenal knowledge, te, unto you, aham, I, so, sa, with, vijnanam, numerous knowledge, idam, this, vakshami, shall explain, aseshataha, in full, yat, which, gnatva, knowing, na, not, yaha, in this world, bhuyaha, further, anyat, anything more, gnatavyam, knowable, avasishyate, remains. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. To repeat, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Verse number 3. That is the last verse. Then we'll try to understand what Lord Krishna is trying to tell in these middle 6 chapters, especially in the 7th chapter beginning, verse number 1 to 3. Verse number 3. Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चित् यतति सिद्धये यततामपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन् मां वेत्ति तत्त्वतः. Manushyānām of men, sahasreshu out of many thousands, kashchit someone, yatati endeavors, siddhaye for perfection, yatatam of those who are endeavoring, api indeed, siddhanam of those who have achieved perfection. Kaschit, someone, mom, me, veti, does know, tattvataha, in fact. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Let's repeat. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. We'll try to understand. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीर्घारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। श्री रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। Thank you for joining today's class. So, chapter 7, after almost a month and a half, my vacation in India month, last 2 weeks we had only one class, 3 weeks. So, we finished 6th chapter, we're starting 7th chapter. It's entirely new paradigm shift. So, the first 6 chapters, Lord Krishna is stressing, predominantly talking about out of 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita, which is Isvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. These are the 5 foundational subject matters in Bhagavad Gita. Out of that, first 6 chapters, Lord Krishna is specifically, predominantly speaking about karma, activity, because that's what first Arjuna needs to understand. After explaining the body and the soul, Jiva, little bit Isvara, but mainly he's talking about the Jiva and what he should do, what kind of activity he should do, how to perform duty, what is duty, what is not a duty, all those aspects. So mainly karma. First 6 chapters are stressing on the point of karma. And the middle 6 chapters talking about bhakti, starting with Mishra Bhakti, which is Karma Mishra Bhakti, then Jnana Mishra Bhakti, then Yoga Mishra Bhakti, then Pure Bhakti. Last chapter of this middle 6 chapters, 12th chapter, Pure Devotion Service, it is titled. So that's the topmost chapter, 12th chapter. So and then the last 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are Gnana, so knowledge aspect. First 6 chapters Karma, last 6 chapters are Gnana is stressed how to be detached like a coconut. When the coconut is fully dried out, the water is not there, but the outside shell and inside shell are two separate. Completely becomes detached, internally detached. How to be in this world, but at the same time be detached from this world internally, not externally renouncing things artificially, but rather internally how to be detached. So that is the last 6 chapters. Now the middle 6 chapters. Why did Lord, as we will see that Arjuna's question and answers throughout Bhagavad Gita, starting from after Arjuna surrenders to Lord Krishna in 2.7, then Lord Krishna started speaking, giving instruction. Until that point, he didn't give any instruction. So then Arjuna started asking questions, starting with 2.54 in second chapter. What is the characteristics of self-realized soul? How does he walk? How does he sit? How does he speak? What is his language? Sthitapragnasya ka va samadhistasya keshava. Kim prabhaset, kim aset, kim brajet, kim. 2.54. Very important question. And later on, we'll see throughout Bhagavad Gita, especially till now, till 7th chapter, there are 7 questions asked till 6th chapter. And we have to understand in the beginning of 7th chapter, Arjuna is not asking any question, but Lord Krishna himself started speaking. Why is that so? So Bhagavad Gita is very, very systematically presented. So we have to understand. So the Bhagavad Gita, the sections, the context, why Lord Krishna is speaking certain things in certain chapter, and from previous chapter to this chapter, how why is he talking about suddenly? So all those aspects we should understand so that it becomes easier for us to apply in our day-to-day life. So the 6th chapter is called Ashtanga Yoga. So till 6th chapter, second chapter to 54th verse, Arjuna is asking his self-realized soul. Then in second chapter, Lord Krishna has explained all in summary. It is called Contents of Gita Summarized, where he talked about um, Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Karma Yoga, then Nishkama Karma Yoga, then Bhakti, glimpse of Bhakti. So pretty much he talked about all yogas so in those 70 plus 72 verses. And then the third chapter beginning, where Arjuna is asking the second question, because in the second chapter, as he asked about the self-realized soul, then Lord Krishna stressed, use your intelligence, control your senses. More seemingly, Arjuna become confused, seemingly, that that means I don't need to do the duty. So that's why Arjuna is asking at the end, but Lord Krishna says you have to perform. So activities. So that's why Arjuna is confused. He's asking in the third chapter similar question and fifth chapter also similar question. The second question Arjuna is asking in the third chapter, beginning Karma Yoga. If you think intelligence is better than fruity work, why are you asking me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think intelligence is better than fruity work? Because he stressed intelligence, buddhi yogam. So many verses in the 55 onwards all the way to 72. Many times he used buddhi interchangeably with other words, yoga and other words, but more of intelligence or controlling the senses. So not literally speaking about work or doing duty. More he stressed other ways, so then he got confused. That's why he's asking. So why are you asking me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think intelligent? That was third one. That's why Lord Krishna has to really emphasize now, speak in great detail about the importance of karma, importance of activity, because that is the first and foremost. Because he's on the battlefield, he should know what is activity, why he should perform activity, with what consonant he should perform, what types of activity are there. So all those aspects are discussed in detail in third, fourth, fifth. So that's why the first 6 chapters are predominantly talking about Nishkama Karma Yoga, starting with karma, gradually leading up to Lord Krishna is stressing, come to Nishkama Karma Yoga. That will lead to some realized knowledge. Nishkama means without desire, looking attached to results, you are performing activity, so that naturally leads to some knowledge. So you will realize something. So that is the leading point to the next level. Go to next level. So that is the second question Arjuna is asking in the third chapter again. Then later on in the same third chapter, then Arjuna is asking third question also. Why is that a living entity is forced to act sinfully, even though unwillingly is forced to act sinfully? After Krishna explained various aspects of Nishkama Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga, so all those various aspects of karma. So he got a doubt. Now, why a living entity is supposed to act? Then that was the third question Arjuna is asking. Then Krishna explains it is only lust sitting in the mind, intelligence, and senses. These three places. Please curb this intelligence, sharpen your intelligence with transcendental knowledge. So that is the connection from third to fourth. So see, the question Arjuna is asking, then Lord Krishna is replying. But seventh chapter beginning, there is no question. Arjuna is not asking any question. But why did he start? Krishna himself started explaining seventh chapter. Why is that so? We have to understand. So we are coming to that point. So third chapter in that way, two questions are asked. Then the fourth chapter beginning, then Lord Krishna, because third chapter ending is he talked about sharpening intelligence with transcendental knowledge. Then Lord Krishna started speaking. That was the connection, transcendental knowledge, chapter 4. Then he was talking about how to receive knowledge and everything. Knowledge about himself, about Lord Krishna, why he appears, when he appears, all those aspects. So in that context, he was talking about I have given the knowledge to Sun God and everything, and to different previous. Then Lord Arjuna is asking the fourth question in the fourth chapter, beginning 4.5. You are talking about you and me are on the same level, kind of age wise. But you are saying you spoke to Sun God. How is that possible? Senior, he is senior by birth long ago. How is that possible? Then that was the question. Then Lord Krishna explains about himself, actually who he is, why he appears, what is his who is his means what is his body, is it the same as the human being or what it is, everything he detailed because so that he understand in great detail. Yeah? So that was the question, the fourth question. So if you're senior by birth, how is that you are senior by birth, but how is that you are able to you discussed or you gave this knowledge before to sun god, and then Manu and Ikshvaku, this knowledge is received, all this. So that was the fourth chapter. And then the fifth chapter beginning. Again, fourth chapter, whole chapter is talking about knowledge. Concentrate, stressing on the knowledge, intelligence, sharpening intelligence with this transcendental knowledge, controlling the senses. Curb your senses, curb your lust, anger, greed, all these aspects Krishna is stressing. So immediately then again Arjuna got doubt. Third chapter beginning, that's what the same doubt he has. So should I work or should I renounce, stop or control myself? I shouldn't do any work. So that's again fifth chapter beginning is asking the same similar question. That was the third, fourth, fifth question and 5.1. Your instructions are equivocal. Please tell me decisively what should I do? Should I work or should I renounce? So so that was the 5.1 fifth question. So then that's why that is called karma yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. Because he has received transcendental knowledge, now he should know better what is karma, what is akarma, what is vikarma. So all those aspects, Lord Krishna in detail he explains. So in this way, fifth question was asked. Now in the sixth chapter, we see that as because in the fifth chapter end, Krishna explains, talks about last two verses, one or two verses, he talks about a little bit about yoga. Which type of yoga? Ashtanga yoga. But first six chapters mostly on karma yoga. But he just gave a glimpse of Ashtanga yoga. Only six chapter is the main chapter of Ashtanga yoga, Hatha yoga. So that's why the connection from fifth to sixth. Why Lord Krishna is speaking about this? Because fifth chapter ending, Krishna himself is talking about this verse. The yoga, Ashtanga yoga, how concentrating, bringing the life force, air into the pranayam and all. So then sixth chapter begins. Arjuna is asking the sixth question now. Arjuna is asking about difference between, because he also got confused about renunciation and renounced work, sannyas and renounced work. So then he is asking difference between the two, sannyas and tyaga. So that was the question. He's asking in the sixth chapter, beginning of verse number 1. Then Lord Krishna started explaining about what is renounced work, what is sannyas, And then gradually talked about Ashtanga Yoga and Hatha Yoga. Then also there's last question is also another question is there in the same chapter. Okay, you are talking about all this controlling the pranayam, controlling the life force, and then he's talking about shutting out the external, the sense desires, and shutting out all the external objects, sense perceptions, and keeping it inward, dhyana, dharana, then samadhi. This in itself is a very impossible task. You are talking about controlling the wind. It's not going possible. It is impossible. So then that's when he asks, how is it possible? So how can you control? It is the most difficult task. Then that's when that was the seventh question. In the sixth chapter, two questions, third chapter, two questions, fourth chapter, one question, fifth chapter, one question, second chapter was in this way. In the first six chapters, Arjuna is asking seven questions. Now, in the sixth chapter, obviously Krishna explains two aspects why how he can control is vairagyena abhyas yuktena vairagyena gruhyate. One by constant practice, one will be able to control these urges, control the senses, control this lust, anger, greed by constant practice. Well, gradually that leads up to internal detachment, abhyasa, and this vairagya, natural internal detachment. Now, at the end of sixth chapter, then after Krishna, because Arjuna asked, is impossible task, then Lord Krishna has to give also a solution. Then Krishna says, out of all this, whatever I explained, the topmost person is one who is actually performing bhakti, one who is deeply attached to me and engaging in loving service to me. He is the topmost. Yoginam api sarvesham, 6.47, very important verse. Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nam taratmana shraddhavan bhajate yamam tame yuktatamo mata. He is the topmost. But one word is important. Obviously, yoga is linking up, uniting with God. But one word is bhajata. Bhaj means worship. No. Bhaj means generally definition is worship. But it is not worship. You can worship anybody. You can worship father, you can worship a teacher, you can worship parents, you can worship seniors, all this. But actually, it is not, Krishna is not talking about worship. Krishna is talking about loving devotional service with love and faith, service. Bhaj, whenever this word bhaj, Bhajatam, Bhakti is used throughout Bhagavad Gita, it applies only to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. Worship, you can apply it to demigod, you can apply it to father, forefathers, seniors, elders, superiors, all this. But when it comes to service with love and faith, that applies only to Ekam Purusham Sakshat. Ekam Purusham Sakshat. Only it applies to Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna. That is what is emphasis on that bhaj word with love and faith. One who is engaged in loving. Now, Arjuna, may I have a question? You are talking about this devotion till first six chapters. You didn't describe this process at all. How I am going to come to this level? How I am going to engage in this bhakti? What is bhakti? So then he will be bewildered. So before Arjuna is asking that question, seventh chapter begins. So that is the connection. Arjuna is not asking any question in the seventh chapter, like third or fifth. You see, Arjuna is asking question, Krishna is explaining the whole chapter. But here in seventh chapter, Arjuna is not asking any question at all. Lord Krishna himself is speaking because sixth chapter ending, he himself started the discussion about the process of bhakti, about loving devotion service, about service with love and devotion, faith, with sincere loving devotion service. So that's how seventh chapter begins. That is the connection from chapter 6 to chapter 7. So Sri Bhagavan was Mayasakta Manaparda Yogam Injan Madashre Asamsayam Samagram Mam Yata Gnasis Tachruno. So before we delve into this first three verses, first we should understand the layout of this chapter. How is it laid out? So that you can prepare our mindset. This seventh
Mhm.
chapter has almost 6 sections. You're looking at 1 to 3 is talking about knowing about Krishna or hear from Krishna. Tat Srunum is stressing. He's hearing, Arjuna is hearing, but Lord Krishna is stressing. You must hear with rapt attention. Attentively, you must hear. So, attentively, you must hear, especially. So, here, Lord Krishna is speaking about the seventh section, 1 to 3 is hearing about Krishna. Then the next verses from all the way to 4 to 1 to 3, and then yeah, 1 to 3 is just here, knowing Krishna, understanding the power and sweetness. This is the first 3 verses talking about the power of the Supreme Lord and sweetness of the Supreme Lord. That is 1 to 3. And then the 4 to 12, Lord Krishna is speaking about material and spiritual energies. And then 13 to 14, this is the third section. Krishna is speaking about controlling the 3 modes. Delusion, how living entities become delusioned by the 3 modes, and how to overcome. 13 to 14, that is the third section. And then the fourth section is 15 to 19, which is 4 types of people surrender. Because people may have question. You are talking about Krishna consciousness, you are talking about bhakti, but how come in the whole world very few people take? That question may arise. That's why Krishna himself is speaking that. 4 types of people surrender and 4 types of people never surrender. Or rather, one way. Impious never surrender, pious do. That is 15 to 19. That is the fourth section. And then the fifth section is 20 to 25, demigod worship and impersonalism. Because there are different types of people. So worship different people. So all this Krishna himself is speaking so that we understand. Because everybody is at different level. Otherwise, Lord Krishna directly could have spoken about the highest path of bhakti. He might he doesn't need to speak about karma, gnana, yoga, all this. Because bhakti is the highest. But he had to give because not everybody at the highest level. So gradually they have to come from that ABCD level. So that's why Krishna has to give all types of knowledge so that gradually they can elevate themselves from one level to another level. And also to understand the superiority out of all, which one is superior. Because if you have comparison, then you know what is superior. So you will be able to relish more. So that's why that in that context also Krishna has given. Then the last section is 26 to 30. So bewilderment and then how to free from that bewilderment by knowing Krishna. So in this way, seventh chapter is laid out. It is called knowledge of absolute truth. Absolute truth. That's the first verse. So in essence, what the seventh chapter is talking about is basically is powers of Lord and sweetness of the Lord and 4 types of people worship or surrender and 4 types of people doesn't surrender. That is what in a brief, in brief, or another way to look at it. First 1 to 6 chapters, first 6 chapters, Lord Krishna is speaking about the swarupa or the constitutional position of a living entity or jiva. Out of 5 subject matters, jiva and Iswara are most first 2 important. So the constitutional position of jiva is talking about swarupa of jiva. And the means to realize is Swarupa. Right now, we are not realizing. We are still thinking that we are this body. We are not able to realize our constitutional position as soul, spirit soul, and as a servant of Krishna, our constitutional position. We are not able to. Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Das. This is a Vedic injunction, Vedic knowledge. Vedas are describing this, our position, our constitutional position. Just like you look at water, you look at different characteristics of different people. Everything has dharma, constitution, position, water is liquidity. So like that, living entity's natural characteristic is serving the Supreme Lord. We are serving so many people, but we don't know where to put that service. That service applies only, as I mentioned, to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. So that is the first six chapters. But this seventh chapter onward, the middle six chapters mainly talking about Swarupa of the Lord, the Supreme Lord, the position of the Supreme Lord is and his identity of the Supreme Lord, and our relationship with the Supreme Lord, Jiva to Ishvara relationship, and how to attain it. Object of worship by Jiva and means to realize him. This is the main instruction, main context, main point of middle six chapters of Bhagavad Gita, especially Bhakti. Now, the seventh chapter, the first verse, very interesting verse, is speaking Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Bhagavan has been mentioned, I mentioned before many times, second chapter beginning itself. Bhagavan means one who possesses six opulence in full, in brief. That means full of knowledge, full of strength, full of fame, full of name, fame, and beauty, full of renunciation. He has all everything, but is fully renounced. He is not attached to anything. So all these full in full. Nobody can claim the whole world, any higher planet, lower planet, anywhere you go. Nobody can claim all this full in full. So that is what is Bhagavan means. You cannot say anybody is God. No, there are many gods. We are also called God. We are minute God. But actually here, Lord Krishna himself is speaking about God means who is not dependent on somebody, who doesn't become conditioned. Yeah, he never becomes conditioned, who doesn't have any duty to perform. mm, simply by his desire, things will run. All these are the characteristics. That's why you see the beautiful verse. Maya sakta manah parda. Mai means to me only. If somebody says, bring me something to him, that means to him only, not somebody else. So Mai is speaking. Mai asakta means become attached to me. If you want to become attached to me, asakti, there is also important point on the asakti. There are 2 points there. Mai asakta, mana parda, mind. Mana parda, oh Arjuna, Krishna is speaking to, bringing the relationship. Everything is about, but that is another point here. Maya Sakta Manapada, Yogam Injan Madashraya. Yogam means uniting with the Lord. With what kind of bhakti? Injan means practicing. Mad Ashraya, very important point. Mad Ashraya means consciousness of me. Consciousness of me, very important point. Consciousness of me means Lord Krishna specifically speaking in the middle six chapters, beginning with seventh chapter, is talking about knowledge of a person, knowledge of supreme person, is not talking about Brahman realization, is not talking about everywhere is pervaded. Yes, people know that God is pervaded everywhere, is omnipotent, omniscient, but does he have form or not? So that is clearly defining. If Lord Krishna, as because sixth chapter ending is talking about that, if you want full consciousness, loving devotion service, that is the highest we talked about. Now, how will you come to that? One must have full consciousness of him. How will you develop? That means when you are drinking water, the whole seventh chapter, it talks begins. Again, another way to look at seventh chapter is giving Lord Krishna, seventh and eighth chapter, Krishna is giving delineation of devotion service at a second level two. Confidential is speaking in the chapter 2, but very minute. But chapter 7 and 8 is talking about more confidential because he's talking about bhakti, more detail. And ninth chapter is called most confidential because more comparative, superlative, natural, comparative, and superlative. So, yeah, first, second, and third are the most topmost, the most confidential in the ninth chapter. Seventh and eighth is second level. Guhya, Guhyatara, and Guhyatama. So, in this way, 3 levels of confidential knowledge. So, this second level of seventh and eighth chapter, Krishna is speaking. Consciousness of me is not talking about Brahman realization. That is the first level of realization of God. God is pervaded everywhere. And then the second level is Paramatma realization. Krishna is not talking about that either, which means Paramatma is there, a super soul is there in each and every living entity, human beings, animals, everywhere. Ants, every atom is there. Andantarastu Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamadi Puruષantamam Bhaja. But he is talking about the higher, that is personal form of the Lord. That is another way to look at Bhagavan. That means one must be conscious of him, just like we are conscious of our family, our wife, our kids. We see their dress, or we see their shoes, we see their drawings, or we see something, immediately we become conscious. We think about them time to time when we're at office, when we're at work, or when we go to shop, or what they like. So all these things we are conscious. No, but we are not conscious of the Supreme Person. If you want to come to that transcendental level, if you want to be supremely happy, not temporarily materially happy, but transcendentally happy, the internal blissful state, our original state, Anandamayo Vyasat. Otherwise, everybody is looking for knowledge, Sat Chit Anand, that means full of eternality. That's why nobody wants to die. Chit, full of knowledge. That's why everybody starting from child, as soon as he's born, is touching things, he wants to know things, he will put in his mouth and everything, all this. Because he's looking for knowledge. Sat Chit Ananda. This is the highest. Everybody is looking for happiness. Nobody wants any distress. Nobody wants. But whether you want or not, it comes. Because that's what this material world is for. Is not for a permanent place. It is a place of reformation. So that's what Krishna is talking about. If you want to be if you want to be happy in this world, if you want to be happy in this world and go beyond, go to the permanent place, then you must be conscious of me on a personal form, not impersonal, not a Paramatma form. But actually, you have to come to the personal form. That means you have to see everywhere my hand, Krishna's hand, Lord's hand everywhere. That means if you are tasting water, you have to feel, oh, this taste is coming from Krishna. Oh, this mountain is so beautiful. This ocean is beautiful. This view is beautiful. Where it is coming from? Ekam sena sthito jagat. In 9th chapter, we'll see. Krishna started explaining when Arjuna is asking, tell me more about your powers. Then he said, what can I tell? Just by my one speck, everywhere I am pervaded. So just hear my glory. I will give fraction of it. I am pervaded everywhere by my one speck. So endless. His glories are endless, but he only gave a brief so that we get to understand his powers. So that's why one must be conscious of him. Gradual. That's why knowledge is very, very important. Transcendental knowledge about the personality, about the personal form of the Lord. That is why Krishna is stressing that point. Srunu here about my personal form and develop attachment. Now asakti. What does that asakti means? One way in bhakti there are different levels. That is the first understanding. And then there is another asakti, what it means. The first level of understanding is asakti means there are 9 steps in the process of transcendence. साधकानां अयं प्रेम्णो प्रादुर्भावेत् क्रमात् आदौ श्रद्धा तथा साधु संगो तथा भजन क्रिया तथा अनर्थ निवृत्ति स्यात् ततो निष्ठा तथा रुचि तथा आसक्ति तथा भाव तथा कृष्ण प्रेम. Highest stage is Krishna prema. Coming to them, we know dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are 4. Chaturveda purushartha. People say religiosity, economic development, enjoyment. Uh, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, final liberation. But there is one thing beyond this, that is Krishna Prema, Pancham Purushartha, which is Prema Pumardo Mahan. Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has given this. And the topmost process is Krishna Prema, highest level. Automatically, these 4 things will be given. One who performs bhakti, he doesn't need to endeavor separately for dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Automatically, they will stay at the doorstep, as mentioned by Bilomangal Thakur. Bhakti stiratara tvayi bhagavan syad Dharmartha Kama Moksha Samaya Pratiksha. Divya Kishore Mudda. Yeah, Bhakti Stiratara Tvai Divya Krishna Divya Kishore Murti. Dharmartha Kama Moksha Samaya Pratiksha. So, Mukti Muklitanjali Sevate Asma Dharmartha Kama Moksha Samaya Pratiksha. Mukti will be staying at the doorstep. One who is performing bhakti stiratara, fixed bhakti, fixed in service to Lord. Divya Kishora Murti, who is the Shyama Sundara Krishna, the topmost level of form of the Lord. So that is what. So the 9 steps, which is talking about, first starting with faith. If you don't have faith, you cannot understand anything. Material knowledge also. You must have faith on teacher. You must have faith in doctor if you are going to doctor. So that is Ado Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. Then the second level is Ado Shraddha Sadhu Sangha. Then start associating with devotees. Those who are attached to Krishna. By hearing from them in their association, then gradually you understand. You come to the Asakti as Krishna is speaking because they know about the form of the Lord. They are attached to the form of the Lord. They are attached to the holy name of the Lord. It's not different. How will you know, as Krishna is speaking here, be conscious of me, hmm? Develop loving service, attached to me, be consciousness of me. How? By chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is one way. There is no difference between the holy name and the Lord, personal form of the Lord, and also the holy name. Nama namino, abhinnatvam nama namino. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasavigra Purna Suddho Nitya Mukta Abhinnatvam Nama Namino. Shastra is explaining. There is no difference between holy name and because all the powers, especially for Kali Yuga, Kalavata Dhari Kirtanat. For each Yuga there is a Dharma. For Kali Yuga there is no, the highest Dharma, topmost main Dharma of Kali Yuga is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Because our eyes cannot see properly. We have so many imperfections. So that's why more our ears work. Even when you are sleeping, ears are always working. If you hear sound, you will wake up even when you are sleeping. That's why ears are the most important aspect. So that's why the chanting of the holy name is the main yoga dharma for this age, more than any other process. Even though we have archana process, we have puja, or we have smaranam, we have all other process. But out of all those, bhakti has 9 limbs of Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedam. But out of all these, so Sravanam and Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, or reading and hearing. So this is chanting the holy name of the Lord. These two are the most important for this age of Kali. Any other process will not be effective because we are so short. We have so many shortcomings. Our age is short, so we cannot live long and we cannot remember things properly. So that's why hearing is the main important. That's why in 7th chapter beginning itself, Krishna is stressing one must hear. If you want to become conscious of Krishna, Lord Vishnu, then you have no choice but to hear. Hearing, we have to pay attention. While chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And here, while chanting, nothing else to do, no multitasking, nothing else. When you are chanting, only job you have to do is even if you are joining on the japa call, we have 5 to 6 every day morning japa call chanting. That means I am the whoever leader, whoever opens the japa call, he will chant. But doesn't mean you hear his voice. No, we put on mute. You also should put on mute, and you should hear your own voice because you are chanting the holy name. You have to hear the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra what you are chanting, not somebody else chanting. That's what we are supposed to do because that is the what is going to help when we are going to become old, when we are going to leave this body. At what point we will leave this body, that we don't know. We are not Parikshit Maharaj, at least he's been told 7 days before leaving the body. But we don't know that. That's why we have to chant the holy name so that when we are leaving this body, we'll be able to be conscious of Krishna. We'll automatically chant the holy name because we have practiced it, abhyas. That in the 8th chapter, when Krishna Arjuna is asking, that point will come. How will I remember at the end of giving up this body? How will I remember? Then Krishna talks about it. Abhyas again. Yati Partha Anuchintayan, constantly thinking of me by constant practice. It requires a lot of practice. So that's why Tada Ado Shraddha, Tada Sadhu Sango, in the association of devotees, faith will increase. Then sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya. That means gradually you will surrender to spiritual master. Third step. Then gradually it will lead up to going up to anartha nivrutti, because there is a one level of anarthas before coming to. That's why it is not that everybody will come to Krishna consciousness. It is not possible. That in the third verse, Krishna is speaking Manushyanam Sahasresha, because there are different levels of anarthas. First layer of anarthas will be when it is removed. That's when you take up Krishna consciousness seriously. You will enter, you will come to Krishna. You will come to Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, you will come to this process. Then gradually, Bhajana Kriya means surrender to a spiritual master. At some point of time, when the faith is strong in the association, gradually you will surrender to spiritual master. Then the third next step will be Anartha Nivrutti. That is the next level. One level of his Anartha is to come to the process itself. Second level is after when you surrender to spiritual master. Next level, that before that, second level of Anartha. Then the actually internal Anarthas, internal cleanliness will start. Once you surrender to spiritual master, it is like a fan. When you switch off, it takes time to completely come to the full stop. So same way after initiation also it takes by spiritual master's mercy, by the previous acharya's mercy, then our anarthas gradually lust, anger, greed. Third level of anarthas will be gradual. That's why anartha nivrutti after bhajana kriya. Then nishta, fully fixed up state of consciousness. Nobody needs to tell us, wake up at this time, come to class, or come to temple, do service. Nobody needs to tell anything. It's fixed up every day, every day. Every day you will be able to do same things. Nishta. Then the ruchi, you will start developing taste, so much taste for everything, for prasadam, for service, for Krishna. As soon as he is tasting water, he is seeing everything, everywhere he is seeing only. He is only seeing three modes, how three modes are working. He is seeing, oh, this person is, because mode of passion is heavy, that's why he is acting like this. He doesn't react. He doesn't react to the what's happening around him. He keeps it within, but he knows Krishna is in Krishna's energy, external energy is in the works. He knows. So this is one who's developed taste. He can see things. He's conscious, fully conscious of Krishna. Then asakti, deep attachment. So that is what Krishna is speaking here. My asakti. That is one level of meaning. Very deep actually. These middle six chapters, these verses can be at different levels, different meanings as you read, because Krishna is speaking, although he, at one level of consciousness, he is speaking of the pure devotees, how they are attached, because this is the second level of asakti. Then I will bring third level of asakti also. Second level of asakti, Krishna is speaking about nishta, ruchi, asakti, bhava. That is a bhava
Yes.
means ecstatic symptoms. So asta sattvic vichar will be there. That's when in asakti and bhava stage, Krishna will either give a sound within his heart. Krishna speaks to the soul, or Krishna may appear for fraction of seconds, like in Narada Muni's case in Bhagavatam beginning that has been described. He may appear fraction of just to increase his attachment, then he will disappear. Then he will living entity will come to that highest stage, Krishna Prema. These are the 9 steps. The Rupa Goswami Nectar of Devotion talks about these stages. This is what one asakti is the middle stage, seventh stage. The sadhana bhakti. It is called Vaidhi sadhana bhakti with rules and regulations. What to do, what not to do. Slowly, gradually, we will learn all those. This is called Vaidhi sadhana because we are not spontaneous. We are not, as soon as we see things, we are not remembering Krishna. When you taste the water, are we remembering Krishna? No, we are not at that stage. Are we remembering Krishna? Anything you see? No, we are not at that. This is the beginning stage. That's why Krishna is speaking. Start hearing process, then gradually you will develop attachment to me. You will become conscious of me in personal form. That's what it is. Just a starting point Krishna is making. That is the one level of asakti. The another level of asakti that Krishna is speaking here is about there are 12 relationships. There are 12 relationships or rasas, I would say. There are 5 primary rasas. When Krishna is speaking my asakta, he is speaking about the five primary rasas. Five primary rasas. The other seven rasas are called indirect. That is not bhakti. That is not bhakti. But actual five primary, which is talking about, first one is shantaras, neutrality, like the Navayogendras, like the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara. They have neutrality. Shantaras, dealing with Krishna, Shantaras. Then you have Dasyaras, servitude, master servant. In majority of the Vaikuntha, master servant relationship, on reverence, opulent, more opulent form that is there. So they are Dasyaras. These are in five rasas. First two are one by one level. Level one is Shanta, level two is Dasya. Then higher than that is Sakya. You go to Vaikunteswara, Balaji, Venkateswara, you cannot jump on him and play. That's not possible. Because there, that relationship is only master servant. You cannot be friend and you cannot jump on him. No, that's not possible. That is possible at the next levels, Sakyaras. That Sakyaras is there above, after all the out of in Vaikuntha Loka, there are majority planets almost, or maybe I don't know the exact percentage, but the many planets are there where on reverence master servant relationship. That is where Vaikuntha is. You name it, Vamana, Narsinga, Kurma, Varaha, all these are different forms. Every one of them has a planet. They all mostly on are all on reverence. But when you go to the next level, there is a Ayodhya Dham. Then there is a more higher. There is Dasiras, but there is a Vishramba. There is a different higher level of Dasya, master servant, like Hanuman has a little bit higher level of rasa. That is in Ayodhya Dham. Then further you go to Dwaraka Dham, more higher. Then you have Jagannath Puri. Then you have Mathura. And Dwaraka, Jagannath Puri, Mathura, and highest is Golok Vrindavan. These are the higher. And there, from Dwaraka all the way to the Golok Vrindavan, you see these other rasas. Shanta, Dasya, is there in all the Vaikuntha planet, but beyond this Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Mada, highest of three rasas is only there in these, especially Dwaraka, Mathura, Jagannath Puri, and especially the highest rasa Golok Vrindavan. All rasas are there in Golok Vrindavan. Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. The Dasya, Sakya means friendship, like Arjuna to Krishna is friendship. But there are many friends, cohort boy friends. There are so many. You see in Vrindavan Leela, Krishna Leela, so many, like Balaram, Stoka Krishna, Madhumangal, Subal, Sridham, so many are there. So they are all friends. They can jump on him, Krishna can carry him, or they carry Krishna, or Krishna will massage their feet, or they massage the feet of Krishna. Both they don't know that Krishna is God, because then you cannot be on that relationship. So that rasa will be this thing ineffective. So that's why. So that is the Sakyaras. Then Vatsalyaras, which is Yashoda and Nanda and Yashoda to Krishna, or Devaki and Vasudev. But that is in Dwaraka. Devaki and Vasudev is lesser than the Yashoda, Nanda and Yashoda. That is in Golok Vrindavan. Even in the Vatsalyaras, there are higher rasa is there in Golok Vrindavan, but lesser rasa is there in Dwaraka and Mathura. More because it is tinged with. That's why seventh chapter beginning is not talking about pure devotion. He's talking about Mishra Bhakti. And the Bhakti is tinged with karma and gnana or opulence. Aishwarya Bhav. Aishwarya Bhav is mixed. Like Devaki and Vasudev has Aishwarya Bhav. That's why how did Krishna appear? So that is the third form. Let me hold on to that thought. So I was talking about the five primary rasas. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. This is what when Krishna is talking about asakti, come to the direct attachment to the personal form. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. This is what Krishna is speaking. There are indirect rasas, which is Hasya, Vivasa, Bhayanaka, Chivalrous rasa, ghastly, all these are seven secondary rasas. Raudra, like Kamsa, some are of envy, all these are secondary rasas. They are not bhakti. They are indirect rasas, they are gauna rasas, so they are more mixed with others. They are not actually considered really bhakti. Five primary rasas are the mainly bhakti. So that is what Krishna is speaking about these five primary rasas. Mai asakta. one of these rasas, you become attached to me in these rasas. That is what second. Third level I was talking about is Krishna is speaking about the his Ananta Vilas. Is if you want to become conscious of him, then you need to know his special characteristics of Lord Krishna. He doesn't have any duty to perform. Natasya karyam karanancha vidyate, nat tat samas abda adhikasya drishyate, parasya saktir vividev srujate svabhavaki jnana balat. Has so many multifarious energies, and then he is not, nobody is equal to him, nobody is greater than him, and he doesn't have any duty. Natasya karyam karanancha vidyate. He doesn't have any duty to perform. All his duty is he can play the flute. So there are four characteristics is beyond comparison. No other form of the Lord has it. No other form of the Lord has it. The first two are Rupa Madhuri and Venu Madhuri. Especially Venu Madhuri, you cannot see anybody. Nobody can play. No other form of the Lord will play the flute. Lord has three or four types of different names are there. Morally, Venu, one more name I forget. There is measurement, there is short. When he will play, what is the difference between all these are mentioned, explained in one class. So that is a different context. But you understand how Lord is so beautiful and so attractive. That's why he's called Krishna. All the colors are merged in him. So that's why sky is blue. Why sky is blue? Because Lord Krishna is blue. All the colors are merged in him. That's why his black is blue, Shyama Sundar Krishna. So that's why sky is blue, because the sun is reflecting the actual color of Krishna. That's why you see sky is blue. It is Shyam Sundar color, Shyam Sundar Krishna's color, highest form of the Lord. Venum Kanantam Arvinda Dalayataksham Varhavatam Samajitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Visesha Sobam Govinda Madhupurusham Tamham Bhajam. In this way, Acharyas are explaining about Lord Brahma himself is explaining about the beauty of Krishna. So this is a Venu Madhuri, beauty, Rupa Madhuri. Is nobody is most beautiful, more beautiful than Shyam Sundar Krishna. Nobody. No, Shastra itself is concluding this. I'm not saying this. Shastra itself. And then Venu Madhuri. Nobody can, no other form of the Lord will play. Hmm? So that is a Venu Madhuri. Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri. Leela Madhuri, nobody, no other form of the Lord can perform, not can, will perform this form of the, because all the incarnations of the Lord are coming from Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3. First canto, chapter 3, verse number 27, is speaking, and many other Puranas is speaking, and many other Upanishads speaking about this. So where Lord Krishna is the source of all the incarnations. Ete chamsa ka pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrar Vyakulam Lokam Prodayantu Yuge Yuge. So that's why there is Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, and Leela Madhuri. Most beautiful, most most beautiful form, most attractive, and Rupa Madhuri, Leela most attractive because by performing most mischievous, most whatever English word you can use, Leela. This amazing, most wonderful Leelas. You'll see in Vrindavan Leela, lifting the Govardhan, or Kaliyadaman Leela, Brahma Vimohan Leela, even including Narayan himself is attracted to Lord Krishna. He himself want to see Lord Krishna. There is one pastime when Arjuna, the sons of Brahmana, keep dying. Arjuna said, I will protect. He was there, he put all his arrows, but they keep dying. Where they are going, nobody knows. Arjuna said, I am going to die. If I cannot protect, I will die. Give up. Then Lord Krishna said, don't rush, don't rush. I'll bring. Then Lord Krishna takes Arjuna, goes all the way in this whole world, nowhere is there. He goes to Amaloka and all planets. Then Lord Krishna takes him to Vaikuntha. There he finds Lord Narayan took them, these babies of this Brahmana boy, because Lord Narayan wants to see Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna's form. So that's how, that is the one pastime is there in Srimad Bhagavatam and other places also. Just to give the context of this Leela. So many, like this, there are so many pastimes. 100 chapters, 90 plus chapters are there in Krishna book. All various leelas. This is just to give the glimpse of Krishna's leela. In this way, you understand this asakti. How you become consciousness of him by these leela madhuri, venu madhuri, rupa madhuri. Uh, mm, so in this way, there are three, four. I forget one more. Rupa madhuri, venu madhuri, leela madhuri. So in this way, Lord Krishna is bringing that, so you can become consciousness of Him. You become attached to Him with love and affection. You develop feeling for Him. We develop feeling for family members because we see them, we touch them. That's why Lord Krishna is taking this Acha Murti. That's why no other form has taken. How did Lord Krishna appear? Lord Krishna appeared simultaneously in two different forms. One as Lord Narayan four-handed form into Devaki and Vasudev is born like that with four arms, everything, all jewelry, everything. No, you don't see that in other form, any other incarnation when they appear. And at the same time, exactly at the same time, to Nanda also, Nanda and Yashoda, Lord Krishna is born as Shyam Sundar Krishna, the highest level, highest form of the Lord, at the exactly at the same time. Because Devaki and Vasudev, Devaki wants to know exactly, she wants to be sure that Lord Krishna is born to me. So that's why Lord, and she has this awe and reverence, opulent feature, Mishra Bhakti. That's why Lord Krishna is taking Dwaraka Krishna. Is taking, there is Dwaraka Krishna, Mathura Krishna, or Vasudeva Krishna, lesser degree than Shyam Krishna, who is only in Vrindavan. That is the highest form of the Lord. Guhya, Guhyatara, Guhyatama, as I explained, three levels. Confidential, more confidential, most confidential. Same way. Dwaraka Krishna, more of on reverence. Then Mathura Krishna, more it gets more sweeter. Then beyond you go to Golok Vrindavan, Gokul, Vrindavan, Dham, then near Delhi. You see. So then that is the highest level. Shyam Sundar Krishna, the highest form. They don't know that Krishna is God. They are on higher rasas, Vatsalya, Madhurya, and Vatsalya. Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya are very at a higher degree, the topmost degree. So in this way, you can understand. We didn't even discuss the three verses. You can understand how depth this verse, how depth the first verse is talking about. Mai asakta mana partha yogam ninjan madashraya asamsayam samagram mam yata gnasasi tachrunu. Asamsayam. Because then he is describing what that asamsayam means. You will know everything in full. What is that full knowledge means? That second verse is in brief. I will explain, then I will conclude. Already 10. Asamsayam is talking because what is that asamsayam? He is talking about Gnanam te aham vijnanam. What is Gnana? What is Vijnana? In the second verse, he is talking. Gnana means is opulence of the Lord. Lord has so many opulence as I just described. This is especially opulence of Krishna. And then the second level, Vijnana. What is Vijnana? One way to look at it is knowledge. Vijnana. Vijnana means realized knowledge. But here, opulence, Gnana, Vijnana means sweetness. Opulence sometimes it doesn't bring so much sweetness. But you look at in Vrindavan, how so much sweetness. You will read the pastimes of Nanda and Yashoda, pastimes, how much Yashoda Mai is has intense love, deep affection for Krishna. Nobody could call Krishna when he's playing with covered boys. He doesn't want to come. When Rohini called, when so many called him, come, your time is up, you have to eat. He will never. But when Yashoda Mai calls, then he has no choice but to come. So much intense affection. Yashoda Mai has so many other pastimes. So that's why that is the Vijnan means sweetness. It gets more and more sweet. So that is the Jnana and Vijnana. Krishna is speaking. It also means the direct meaning is this is the phenomenal knowledge and luminous knowledge, which means phenomenal knowledge means what you see in this material world, the whole Jagat, how it is working, but the reason behind it, spirit behind it, how is it working? Is it Big Bang theory? How things are working? How the creation is happening? How the living entities are there? Different living species are there. How everything is happening? So who is the cause? Who is the cause of all cause? So all this is spirit behind it. That is the numinous, that Vijnan. We must know why we have to come to temple. What is the reason? Why we have to chant the holy name? Everything we need to know spirit behind it. We need to know the reason behind it. So that's why the Jnana and Vijnana both needs to know. Then Asamsayam Samagramam. Then you have no other doubt. You have nothing else to know. Everything is revealed. Everything will become revealed as you start hearing what I am going to describe in the next 6 chapters and go on further onwards, whole Bhagavad Gita and to that point. In this way, Krishna is speaking, and then the third verse, Krishna is speaking. Don't think that, oh, now you explained consciousness, but don't think that everybody else in the world is going to follow, come to this path. No. There are so many. Out of so many karmis, one may become gnani. Out of so many gnanis, one may become yogi. But out of so many yogis, one may come to the process of bhakti. One may come. Out of so many may come, one may start practicing it. Some may leave. But out of so many practicing, one may take it seriously. Out of so many take it seriously, one may really realize it perfectly. You see the rarity. Bhakti is so rare because everybody is not at PhD level. Everybody is not at advanced level. Somebody wants this benefit, that benefit, as you see in this world. Nobody wants to work hard. Everybody wants free money or quick money. So different degrees of levels of consciousness. So that's why different levels are there. Different spheres of world, different planets are there. That's why. So even material world also there are different planets. In spiritual world also there are different planets because different types of consciousness of living entities are there. Different rasas are there. So that's why all these are there. So, but we'll continue as we next week Friday we'll continue where we left off because our time is up. Thank you very much for patiently listening. If you have any quick questions, you can ask. I'll unmute. If you have any quick questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll conclude today's session. Any questions? Ravi Prabhu and Subhangi Mataji. If not, we'll conclude. Thank you. Hare Krishna.